About a year and a half ago, I was directing some TV projects. In fact, Daryl was helping produce the show. And while we were recording, one of the guests had a stroke on set. And now we go back about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'm at the Global Influence Summit, and a guy calls me out, and he says, "Hey, Mark, how are you?" And it was Scott Shilling, and I couldn't believe it. I had tried to get in touch with him, but we just lost touch. I didn't know if he lived or died, and I decided that we had to talk about his experience using medical and alternative treatment to recover from his stroke. I should introduce you to Scott Shilling right now. Scott is one of the world's foremost sales and motivational speakers. He works all the time putting together deals and training people on how to present, how to speak. Scott, welcome to Late Night Health.
Thanks, Mark. It's just a pleasure to be here.
You have no idea. I mean, Daryl and I talked about you for a month afterwards. So you heard what I said. Can you tell the story from your standpoint, from your side?
Well, what was really interesting is about 8 days prior to my trip to California, I was going to do a speaking event, and it was extremely cold here in Dallas, pretty unusual. Walked out to the back of my SUV, balanced a box of books on my knee, and I threw the back deck up to get it out of the way so I could put the box of books in my SUV. Well, as fast as I threw that back deck up, it came back down and hit me in the back of the head.
Oh.
And it about cold cocked me. Obviously, it hurt pretty bad. I had a pretty bad headache immediately, but I had a speaking event, so I had to go off and do it. I mean, you just don't leave promoters in the lurch. And I did the event, and 4 days later got on an airplane to fly out to California to be with you. And I had this dull headache over this entire 8-day period of time, about a 2 or 3 on a scale of 10. So it wasn't big; it was just annoying, but it was always there. And I knew I had banged my head pretty hard, but didn't think too much of it. And I'm a guy, we don't look for directions. We don't look for directions and for medical help.
Absolutely.
So basically, even on the airplane, one of my friends said, you just opened, it looked like you just read a page in that book. This is when you read all your books. And I said, yeah, I just don't feel like it. So something was off, but I just didn't know. Well, it wasn't until I was with you and we were in the heat of battle that
we were not fighting. We were on set.
No. I mean, in the heat of filming.
Yes, right.
A little bit better. That basically we were having just doing what we do. And all of a sudden the dissection that was caused in the PICA, the posterior interior cerebellum artery, decided to shut down, pull blood for a period of time, release it, and throw a stroke. And
you're a young man. Let's start with that. You are young. You're fit. Maybe a couple of pounds overweight, but basically you look and seem to be healthy to me.
Well, it was a mechanical issue. It was when I got hit. In essence, I was in a car accident. My car attacked me. It was. And really, now that I've talked to neurologists and I've talked to a lot of doctors since, they say it's not unusual for people to be in a car accident and a month, 2 months, 3 months, even 4 months later, that some damage that was done in the car accident finally materializes as a stroke. So they said they were actually very common. It was commonplace to them, certainly not to me.
Well, it was at Christmas time. You could not get on a plane to fly home to Dallas. You were stuck here for how long?
I was actually in intensive care there in L.A. for 6 days. And and then another week after that, they wouldn't let me fly. But the doctors couldn't understand. They looked at the MRI. They actually went into my brain to an angiogram. which if I can keep anybody from ever having an angiogram, let me help you, because they are no fun to have a metal probe put up in your brain. But the fact of the matter is, the doctors were actually standing outside my room at one time looking at my MRI and saying, we don't get it. We look at his MRI. He's in there laughing, joking, goofing off with us. We have 2 other stroke patients here in intensive care whose MRIs don't look near as bad as his, but they're both in deep trouble. We don't get it. And I just kind of hollered out to them, well, I got it. And they said, what? I said, I got it. And the whole team came walking in, and I said, it's obvious. It's God's grace, mercy, and favor on my life. And the neurosurgeon said, well, that's as good an answer as we have. And they all walked out. But what it really came down to was, believe it or not, my body was nutritionally ready for an attack. Now, not purposely trying to give it an attack, but the point is, I had myself in pretty sound nutritional foundation that allowed this to a certain extent, be a non-event.
We talk a lot here on Late Night Health about how having faith really helps heal the body and the mind.
No, I don't think that there's any doubt about it. I mean, I have never experienced the pain that I went through. I have never experienced the bewilderment that I went through. And I know I cried out to my source and asked for his help. And after that conversation, I have never been at more peace in my life. The pain stopped immediately. I think we all need to have a faith in something or someone higher than us, for sure, because I know it certainly helped me get through all this.
When we talked the other day to talk about being on the show, you said something to me. Basically, you said you're stopping to smell the roses for the first time in a long time. You're spending more time with family, your kids. You're doing more things that you want to do, and work is taking a back seat, or maybe a passenger seat, knowing you.
Well, it probably is a passenger seat, but what you do come to realize is many of the things that you think are so important really aren't that important. And what I came to realize for a fact is God's plan and timing is perfect. And one of my friends even said to me, you know what this was, don't you? And I said, no, what? This is simply your wait on the Lord moment. He's got this. He's got you taken care of. You just need to let that happen. And I think what becomes very valuable is we don't stop and smell the roses. We don't simply live a quality life 100% of the time. We try to sneak in quality wherever we can sneak it in, as opposed to making it the preeminent portion of our lives.
As you were going to the hospital for the first time, because we were at Universal City,
right?
And for those of you who don't know, it really is where they make movies and TV shows, but they have a place for dinner and places for dinner, and there is loads and loads of entertainment. And we were walking, and you tripped and fell, and I think that was your first.
Well, what happened is my legs stopped working. I was sending messages down to my feet to move, and my feet said, heck no, there's something going on. And I literally, all of a sudden became disoriented. My legs stopped. I know that I was telling them to walk because we had a group of us all walking, and my legs said, no, I'm not doing it. And what I find, it's kind of funny. It's funny now because everything turned out okay. But one of the people that we were walking with is a doctor, and he looked at me, and the first thing he said, could have said anything at that point, was, what's your phone number?
I remember that.
And I replied back my phone number, and I go, why the heck would you ask me that? Oh, no reason. See, he could see the outward signs of the stroke. He could see the gray, the gray skin, the sweating profusely, the confusion, he could see the effects as it was happening, more than I could even tell them.
But so you actually went to the doctor thinking it was a problem with your leg then, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, we didn't know what it was. Well,
right.
I think, they became, the folks that we were with were pretty clear that I was probably going through a stroke event, but nobody could really understand. There was certainly no outward sign. Like you said, I was in fairly decent shape and happy and chipper, and there was nothing other than this nagging little headache. Well, the body sends us signs. The thing is, women probably listen to those signs a whole lot better because, again, we've been given a system that'll tell us something's not right. The point is, do we listen to it or not?
And listening is really the key for both men and women when your body tells you something. Our guest is Scott Shilling. We're talking about recovering from a stroke. And Scott is a friend. He's one of the world's foremost sales and motivational speakers. He teaches people from all over the world. We're going to take some time out. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Scott. I'm Mark Alyn. Join us at latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com for more information about our guests, about health, and about you and your life.